And so what I'm doing is essentially looking into uh, developing low cost assets, and that's a specific mission for turbine engines and the Air Force is looking into low cost assets like we've done the really expensive adaptable propulsion systems, and now it's like, all right, how do we make things really cheap? How do we make it so cheap that if you lose it or if you break it or if it doesn't perform as intended, then you just kind of shrug and you just go with the next one,
Mhm.
or you make it so cheap that that you're not dealing with supply chain issues, uh, or you make it so cheap that it has components in it that aren't reliant on some uh, you know foreign entity to provide it to you, and then if there's a war that comes out of nowhere, your prices don't get driven up by 2-3x. It's and so that in itself is, and it sounds like a very trivial mission to fulfill, but it's trivial is
Yeah, it's
not a word
game
that would
changing.
apply to it. It's absolutely game changing to make
Yeah,
something really cheap that's effective.
yeah, because you
So
have strategies can be different, right? If in
right,
terms of what you're thinking about from a deployment of resources and vehicles, and then also, I mean, like what you kind of hinted on it there. Maybe probe a little bit more on this, but when you think of making things low cost, there's a couple of ways. Like there's numerous ways to think about making something low cost, and I guess where's the focus area for you? Is it kind of a better design, so you're maybe using less materials? Is it a okay, let's make it so simple that a machine shop can, or some low cost manufacturing um, outfit can really do this locally? Like where's kind of the approach that makes uh, that it makes the biggest bang for your buck when you're thinking about making something that's low cost?
it's a combination of a lot of everything you just said. It just for me, in my business, I'm Hyphen Innovations. We're trying to attack it from several different fronts. We're attacking it from a uh, how do you make an asset low cost based on the maintenance that's done on it? Uh, it's like, all right, if you reduce the cost of maintenance, then all of a sudden it's lower cost than it used to be.
Yeah.
Or if you develop a viable comprehensive repair process for a component, now all of a sudden the cost of maintenance is also down because you don't have to purchase so many spare parts. Um, and then you can one of the other ways we're looking at it is we're trying to also develop manufacturing processes that are low cost.
Hmm.
Uh, so we're looking into metal FDM processes that are taking the same concept as desktop metal and Markforged, and we're looking at it from an even cheaper perspective, cheaper furnace, a cheaper printer, uh, and in that way, all of a sudden, it's like instead of spending $250,000 on the resources to manufacture these components, now you're spending a fraction of that, and you can fill a room with manufacturing capability of 10x of what you would get on the current market with this rapid manufacturing capability. You can make a whole bunch of parts really quickly and deliver them. um, we're also looking at it from a weight perspective as well. Uh, where you have current systems, can we make the current system perform the exact the exact same way as far as power, but make it lighter? And if you make it lighter, we're not now you can uh, now you have better fuel efficiency. You have better payload capability. Um, uh, so it's those are uh, those are three ways that that Hyphen Innovation is actually looking at it. We're looking at it from a maintenance. We're looking at it from reducing the resources required to manufacture, and we're looking at it from a weight reduction perspective.
Yeah.
Those three things are high on priority.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right on. I mean, one thing that we see a lot on the kind of qualification side is that some of these systems are so expensive and just to buy, not even to run, that it could take, and they're complicated in a lot of ways. Like some of these metal systems where it could take 18 months and $1.5 million to qualify a single material and a single machine like that. That has its place. There are certainly going to be applications for that, but there's this whole area that you're playing in where, okay, can we de-risk this by making it low cost and making trade-offs and realizing like, hey, like if it crashes or like we don't want anybody to get hurt, but if the vehicle itself is destroyed, and not in the world, like we're gonna.
And that's one. You brought up a very good point. When we talk about lower cost asset, a lot of times it's not attached to a man-rated system. That's one key thing that shouldn't be mentioned, because it's like, people are like, well, I don't want to get on a cheap plane with cheap parts. It's like, no, it's a lot of stuff that we talk about when we talk about low cost. It's not man-rated things. It's maybe it's equipment transport, could be munition, it could be surveillance and reconnaissance, just whatever. It's just how do we reduce the cost, where if we lose this thing, it's not the biggest it's not the biggest deal in the world. We can print another one, because we have we have a 10 by 10 room with 5 printers and and furnaces that can print out 5 parts and have them ready to go in in less than 48 hours. So yeah, it's most of the low cost stuff is focused on autonomous vehicles and non-man rated vehicles.